If you're not overwhelmed in today's market, you're probably not doing something right. There is, for no doubt, 1,000 different things coming at everybody, and the pace of innovation, it's phenomenal. Welcome to the Data and AI Chief. I'm your host, Cindy Housen. Imagine someone hands you a blank sheet of paper and says, redesign your most important processes from scratch. No legacy systems, no old mindsets or entrenched processes. Where would you start? This is exactly the opportunity today's guest faces. Alpa Lally is the Chief Product Officer at Grant Thornton, one of the world's largest audit, tax, and advisory firms. Alpa leads product strategy for the firm's AI transformation. In this episode, you'll learn how to reimagine old processes instead of just optimizing an existing legacy one. Also, has AI really killed product management, and how to reinvent your career in the era of AI? Alpa, welcome to the Data and AI Chief.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. I've heard so much and, of course, have been diving into all of your LinkedIn posts and articles. Where in the world are you joining us from today, Alpa?
Well, I'm joining you guys today from Orange County, California, in the beautiful Sunshine State.
Okay, nice. And there's a lot we'll talk about what you're doing in Grant Thornton, but I think you also just have such an interesting professional background. Tell us a little bit about yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually a structural engineer. I started my career off in getting a degree in civil engineering and specialized in structural engineering. But then, started practicing as that engineer up in Calgary, Canada for a number of years, shifted over to the California lifestyle, about 20 years ago. And then in about 2008, the subprime market crashed. And so therefore, I decided to reinvent myself and went and got an MBA and then got picked up from another organization and started to transition into product and product management. And then the rest is really history. It's been an exciting journey and exciting times for sure.
That is. So that's where some people would say there's an opportunity in every crisis. So it sounds like that some subprime mortgages where building starts were on the decline was a forcing function for you to reinvent yourself.
Absolutely. I was fortunate at that time that I was still able to be employed, but you could see the writing on the wall, right? It was a massive devastation to the financial markets and, building economy in general. And so, going through that journey, you really quickly learn to say, it's not like you're transitioning, you're just pivoting, you're re-engineering yourself, right? Kind of like the cornerstone of my career and a lot of also the new AI capabilities that we see today. It's no different then than it is now. You've just got to find a way to pivot and re-engineer yourself to the new opportunities that exist around you.
Yeah. And so I think there are some synergies, though. What are the elements that you would say you've taken from designing buildings to now product design? What are some of the elements there?
So I love this question, Cindy, because again, it speaks to how anyone can really pivot and where they want to be. But, as you mentioned, my career started in engineering. I designed everything from single family homes to high rises. And if you look at how buildings are built, they need a vision, they need a strategy, they need a plan to execute. When you start to get those first set of architectural drawings from, your client and the architect, you start to do simple load takedowns, right? Understanding what are the impacts to the building from a load perspective, a wind perspective, and then you start to design from the foundation up. Similar in product, you need to establish a vision. You need to have a strategy. You need to understand what are the foundational elements. You need to understand things of what's the market demanding, what is the product market fit. Those all areas are easily translatable. So for me to transition and having that analytical background, never so important nowadays, it was a pretty easy transition to start to take my core skills, as I'll call it, and transition them over to product and product management and product design. And then the rest is, again, history. Like, just fell in love with the opportunity to build. I got to build buildings before, and now I get to build products. I get to build products for our clients. I get to build products for our internal teams. And so really exciting that I took that pivot and, was able to transition that expertise and that knowledge into another area.
Yeah. And so let me know if I'm reaching too far here, Alpa, but I'm thinking of a building, I'm thinking of safety and structural load. I'm thinking of scalability and governance in an AI world. What do you think?
That's exactly a great comparison because in today's world, as we think about AI tooling, AI capabilities, agents that we're building, it is absolutely important to have that governance around it. No different than what you spoke about a building, like nobody wants their building knocked down, right? Or if there's issues environmental that happen, you want your building to be protected and the people protected. So just like where we're building solutions today, safety has to be considered. How you use the data has to be governed. How you secure the data and information flowing has to be managed and governed as well. And so putting the right layers of governance and processes in place help us actually execute a lot faster and also protect our people and our solutions from, bad threats, bad actors, right? And that's incredibly critical to what you build nowadays.
Yeah, and I would say that's universal for AI. If we focus now on Grant Thornton, I would say it's a well-known brand in tax and audit. You're transitioning to be a frontier firm. What does that really mean, and what does that type of transformation look like?
A frontier firm uses AI not just to improve how work gets done, but fundamentally rethinks how the work gets done. It's moving beyond productivity gains and creating entirely new ways to deliver value. On the ground, it means embedding AI into your everyday workflows, right? Empowering our people with AI tools and agents and reimagining those processes that haven't potentially changed in years. For us, for example, we've rolled out Microsoft 365 Copilot to all of our 13,000 plus professionals across 60 different offices worldwide. And now that's just become table stakes. We've also started to launch other proprietary AI solutions that helps our teams conduct compliance and risk assessments in minutes that previously took days or weeks. And the reality is the transformation isn't happening in a lab. It's actually happening in the hands of our professionals who are using these capabilities to serve our clients faster, more consistently, with deeper insights. But as we continue to evolve, our professionals will now also start to manage agents, agents alongside their team members, right? And the important thing to remember is that these still require human judgment, expertise, right? But it focuses our practitioners on that higher value strategic work and thinking with the clients of where they can spend more valuable time with them, right? It also goes back to that previous question you asked me about governance, right? And what's safe and sound. And that judgment and expertise is still so critical. And as we think about, the work that we're starting to evolve into and what we're producing with AI.
Yeah, so there's a few threads we want to pull on there, Alpa. The first one is that you reimagined a number of processes, but maybe we'll stay on the audit process.
Yeah.
And yet many organizations that I work with, they don't start there. They like to automate an existing process. And I'll go back to a podcast episode we had about 2 years ago. Alex, one of the first to adopt the data mesh, said, if a company is making money, they don't like to mess with their core processes, their money makers. It's too scary. And yet you have reimagined a core process. How did you make that happen? And maybe do you even agree with me that there's a lot of people that prefer just to automate the existing and tinker?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think a lot of people will layer the word AI over just automating what's already there, right? And you're not really breaking through the barriers of reimagining what's different. And it's natural, right? It's human nature to start by improving what's familiar, right? The challenge is if you simply automate a broken process, you end up doing the wrong thing faster. So, what we really try to do is encourage teams to take a step back and just ask a fundamental different question. Like, if we were designing this process today with AI available, would we build it this way? That's actually often where the best ideas emerge, right? And a large part of our ability to reimagine those experiences, in all honesty, it starts with a leadership team that's behind you 100%. It's the piece that a lot of people don't talk about, right? You just mentioned like protection of revenue. Absolutely. We are still a revenue generating business and need to grow the business. But when you have a leadership team willing to take the right amount of calculated risks, right? And that's what AI has given us in those right types of boundaries and governance rules, you can then go reimagine not just the experience, the workflow, and do it differently. But what's exciting to drive growth is you're reimagining the business from the ground up. They're seeing net new opportunities that can leapfrog what we're already doing today. That's that marriage that needs to start to come to life to really start to drive what I think is probably the most successful transformations, right? They start with curiosity rather than technology, right? We can go and automate and build everything with AI. The speed is unbelievable now, but we've got to go back to our roots, right? How do we fundamentally focus on the problem that we're trying to solve for and then allow how to really explore how AI allows us to rethink that from the ground up, but in partnership with your businesses and saying, we are now going to leapfrog and drive incremental growth. So then we're protecting our business at the core as well.
Yeah, leapfrogging sounds wonderful. It's not just going from A to B, it's going further.
That's right. Exactly. And I think that's a key thing at Grant Thornton. It's like, we're not here just to go from A to B, as you just called it out. We're here to leapfrog, right? And to do that, you have to rethink how we operate, how we build, how we sell new services, existing services. Everything is on the table now. And that's what makes it even more exciting and also more challenging as well, because there's a lot of different points of intersection. And bringing all those together is absolutely critical in how you lead with AI, but how you lead in your area as well.
So you also mentioned bringing leadership along to reimagine. What was the initial reaction and how did you do it? Did you get them all in a room, get on a Zoom call? Did they embrace it and say, yes, let's do this? Or was there some pushback?
I think it varies across different parts of the organization, right? I think some people can get really excited when they start to see how technology just makes their job better and not just different, right? But you do have pockets of team members that, it can be overwhelming. It can be frightening because it could, you have a lot of talk in the industry around role eliminations. You're seeing a lot of that stuff pop up. But what we found most effective approach to making AI accessible and hands-on, right? So instead of talking about real abstract possibilities, we rolled out Microsoft 365 to everybody, right? And we did it in a big bang approach. And so we started to immediately show people how it can eliminate tasks they actually don't enjoy doing, start to focus more time on higher value work. And alongside that, it also creates an environment where experimentation is encouraged, right? And celebrated, right? Not everything is going to be successful, but it's okay to fail, but as long as you fail fast and you fail forward. And so we celebrate a lot of the learnings as much as success. When people feel safe testing ideas, sharing that work, innovation, it just naturally becomes something part of, they're not something that's being done to them. And it is our responsibility, I will say, to teach and train. And so we do a lot of hands-on hours where we're like, come and join us, ask us questions, let's build an agent together, right? Those little steps make incremental dividends on how you actually roll out AI across the board.
Yeah, then it's not just an abstract concept. They can feel it, they can touch it. I think your point about taking away the drudgery is also key. And you've mentioned Office 365 a few times. I understand ThoughtSpot is also part of this AI transformation. What can you share about the role that is playing?
Yeah. So I think one of the examples that I'd like to lead with is like in our audit practice, we've partnered with ThoughtSpot and basically have embedded their analytical capabilities into what we call our GTAP platform. GTAP is our global platform for analytics, automation, and AI. And it originated originally to modernize how we deliver audit assurance services. And we've come to really see it much more than a technology platform. It's actually become a blueprint for how we combine data, automation, and human expertise at scale. And so, what ThoughtSpot has done is our ability to embed them immediately into the flow has opened up a whole level of different insights that we can offer not to our practitioners only, but imagine an auditor showing up on day one to your client and having these insights already calculated, already delivered. So the conversation completely pivots into what do you need to go do next rather than I've collected the information, have to go back to the office, do my data massaging, try to figure out what is happening within the data. That embedded analytics is opened up a whole ecosystem of valuable, more strategic conversations. And it actually ultimately builds embedded trust with our clients. And so you can see our auditors really starting to get hands-on into that analytics environment provided by ThoughtSpot and really start to open up different types of conversations, different types of opportunities for them and for us.
That's great. So there's a few points you made there. It's taking away the drudgery of data gathering. It's making it happen at the point of impact that has customer value. You also made the point, though, earlier about how people view AI, that AI could be an AI agent, could be a coworker, which some would say, like, if we view AI as another part of the team or as a replacement, it can be threatening. And then some say, just dismiss it as another tool, and that's less threatening. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, look, I think it can be definitely, I'll start with it's overwhelming, but the reality
Mm.
is if you're not overwhelmed in today's market, you're probably not doing something right. There is, for no doubt, 1,000 different things coming at everybody, and the pace of innovation, it's phenomenal. It's exciting and frightening at the same time because you're spot on. Some folks do look at it as like, well, does it mean it's going to replace me? But it goes back to that. It just means how you're going to, how differently are you going to spend your time? Where are you going to spend your time now, right? As you think about your own ecosystem, the tasks that you do every day, the work that you do every day, imagine, in my world, I spend a lot of time creating PowerPoints or I ask my teams to create PowerPoints for presentations. I now, with a couple prompts, can create an entire 5 to 10 page deck and have everything drawn out. That's an agent working for me. That
Yeah.
is exactly where I don't want to spend my time on, right? And I don't want my team spending time creating those things for me. I want them innovating with me. I want them challenging me. I want us understanding the market. All of that now means that I have a whole host of tools, agents that now can do all that work that I can go faster. I can have more free time to go spend my time on strategic thinking, spending my time with clients, and even outside of work, spending more time with my family, right? It is a way to accelerate how you deliver value and outcomes for yourself, your company, and your clients.
And that is an exciting future. So, Grant Thornton is not only a user of AI, but you're also an auditor of how your customers are using AI. And you have an interesting survey about how well customers are in a position to govern this. Do you want to share the results of that survey?
Yeah. So I think you're referring to research we did. Our 78% of companies lack the confidence that they could pass AI governance audit. And what does that gap really tell us? Well, the statistic comes from our 26 AI impact survey, where we looked at 1,000 senior business leaders across 10 different industries. It tells us many organizations have moved faster on adoption than actually governance. We call it the AI proof gap, where organizations are actually deploying AI, can't show how the decisions are made or who is actually accountable for the outcomes. The organizations that are actually seeing the most success recognize AI governance isn't the barrier to innovation. It's actually what makes innovation sustainable. In fact, our survey found that organizations that fully integrate AI are nearly 4 times more likely to report revenue growth than those are still piloting, like 58%, I believe, versus 15%. But here's the catch. While 3 and 4 boards have approved major AI investments, only 52% have set clear AI governance expectations. And nearly 3 and 4 organizations are running autonomous AI, yet only 1 in 5 has actually tested a response plan for AI failures. So trust is built through strong controls, clear accountability, transparency, and ongoing monitoring. And so a lot of the conversations that we're starting to see our practitioners have with clients is encouraging those clients to think about that governance from the beginning rather than bolting it on later on. The goal can't just be deploy AI. The goal is to deploy AI responsibly so that people can have confidence in the outcomes that it produces.
Yeah. And so that almost begs the question, are we going too fast?
I don't think we're going too fast. I think we have to change our mindset and build in parallel because the market's out there. The market's running, it's sprinting. Nothing is going to slow down. I think we need to make real, tangible efforts that drive towards that governance that we just spoke about, right? Putting those controls in place. Often it seemed governance can be viewed maybe as a negative word, but if you put those in place, you can actually go faster than anyone else. So I don't see it as a negative. I think it sees it as a challenge on pushing everyone to even go faster because it's where the market's at. You either get on board or you're going to be left behind.
Hi, data and AI friends. We are at a generational shift. Some might even say a once in a lifetime opportunity. To capitalize on this opportunity, you need more than just great technology. You need a mindset shift. That's why I'm proud to say that ThoughtSpot sponsors this podcast. Go from raw data to trusted insights and action with ThoughtSpot Agentic Analytics, a platform powered by a suite of specialized AI agents. It's why companies like Cisco, Lyft, T-Mobile, Sephora, and Schneider Electric count on ThoughtSpot. See what the future of analytics looks like at ThoughtSpot.com. One customer said to me, we really are in an AI arms race. We have to go fast. To your point about governance, allowing organizations to go faster with safety, I think is key. I read an article this morning. One of the ways to ensure trusted AI is the semantic layer. And I was surprised to find this is a survey that VentureBeat did, and they found that 57% of organizations said AI generated wrong insights based on bad context. So it wasn't just a hallucination. It's that they're not applying those safeguards through a trusted AI semantic layer. I guess, does that surprise you that it's that high?
No, it actually doesn't surprise me. But I think this goes back to you've got to not just have the governance, but you've got to build the foundation correctly, right? And part of that, building that foundation correctly is having the right data quality, putting the right controls around the data, building the knowledge layer, building the semantic layer. Those are all critical components to making AI successful. And the reality is, and at least in our space, we're always going to have a professional in the loop, right? A tax professional has to apply their judgment. an audit professional must apply their judgment, right? And so that is also another way of looking at governance and making sure that we have our checks and balances in place, but building the foundation correctly helps reduce that AI slop, right? The hallucinations, it gives it the right context, but you've got to start with building from the foundation up. Otherwise, you're going to get that hallucination slop that everyone's talking about. It doesn't have the context. And so it comes back to, how you build is also as equally important. Like, I know we're all excited about AI and want to go super fast, but you can go super fast as long as you've built your foundation really fast, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. It makes absolute sense. And this maybe leads us a little bit to product management in general. So some have said with AI, like you can just build it so quickly that the product manager's role is dead. Where do you land on this?
Yeah, I don't think product management is disappearing. I think it's absolutely evolving. AI can accelerate research, analysis, execution, but it doesn't remove the need to understand your customer needs, make strategic trade offs, align around a shared vision. All of the core things of product management and product design still exist, right? In many ways, AI actually raises the importance of great product leadership because more organizations have more opportunities than ever before. We can all now, with a couple prompts, create these demo environments, create prototypes, but someone still needs to determine which opportunities are actually worth pursuing, right? Which opportunities are going to drive, your outcome for your business that you're looking to drive. And so that is the core of product management. Can we go faster? Yes. Can we eliminate those steps that we need to take to make sure that we have product market fit? Or is this going to help generate the right type of revenue as an example? No, you can't. You have to have that craft still there. You still need to talk to your clients. You still need to talk to your practitioners. So, back to the beginning. No, I don't think project management is disappearing, nor is it dead.
Yeah. And is that also you can build faster, but that point about choosing what to build versus what to buy, because building, some would say building the prototype is easy, but scaling, maintaining, enhancing, that can be harder. So, how has that changed?
Yeah, I think that's a great point because when we build, we've always got to look at a build versus buy or a hybrid approach, right? We're not in the business of building, software and solutions that already exist in the marketplace that already do an amazing job, right? Like embedded analytics like ThoughtSpot. That's not where our bread and butter is. Our bread and butter is the type of practitioners we bring to the market, the type of work that they do, our audit professionals, or tax professionals, our advisory professionals. But you're spot on when you say, it takes time to harden a system. It takes time to scale a system. We can go faster with some of those AI tools, but all those steps still exist and must be done. And so when you think about whether you're building or buying or you're taking a hybrid approach, all those things still exist and they're still core part of product development, product engineering. I can go faster, but I still have to get those pieces in place to make sure that the solutions we're using are accurate. The value we're delivering is the right value. We're driving to the outcomes, all coming back to that core fundamentals of like how we drive growth within the business.
Yeah. And I like the way that you focus on the value and what you can buy versus build. If you go back 3 years ago, say pre-generative AI, what did a day in the life of a chief product officer look like then that is so different today?
Yeah, great question. So back then, most of my time was spent on gathering information, synthesizing inputs, creating deliverables. Now, with these tools, it just goes significantly faster, right? I can accelerate, if not all of those activities, right? So it means I spend more time on strategy, prioritization, stakeholder alignment, coaching teams, right? The work has actually less become about producing information and more interpreting it, right? Connecting the dots, driving the decisions. And that's ultimately where the greatest value has always been, right? If I can spend more time thinking about the vision and strategy, it completely changes where we focus, where we accelerate. And so I'm excited personally. Yes, I mentioned a little while ago, it can be absolutely overwhelming, but until you get your hands in there and get into that work, you'll never learn. You've just got to try, right? You'll make a few mistakes, you'll stumble along the way. You may have to ask for a person or two to help you. But now I can summarize my entire day within minutes, right? The role is completely shifted and it's exciting from that perspective too. And also, what I love about what's changed is I can put my hands on the keyboard now. There's tools out there where now I can get it and create a demo, right? And I can give a different perspective. Or if my team sends a demo or something over to me, I can go in and comment and make changes as we're all working. And it's just changed the way we operate. And I don't know if you see my excitement, but it's like super exciting and like just a really cool time to be in.
For sure. And Alpa, we started this discussion with your major career pivot, but you've had multiple shifts over your career span. Is there anything in particular that made these pivots possible?
I would say it's curiosity, my desire always to learn more and more. I think I am one of those humans that is completely comfortable with being uncomfortable all the time. I'm okay with having that pit in my stomach if I don't know something. And that for me has helped me reinvent my career because I don't really fear failing, right? And it's not easy to say because I do have a family, I do need to support them, but you take calculated risks, but being uncomfortable is okay. And so why not is always the question.
So you are thriving in this overwhelming time.
I wouldn't say I'm thriving. I am learning to synthesize it in bite-sized pieces, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. I think
Yeah.
that's the part of it. Like, I'm not someone that says, "I need to know everything," or "I need to know this new tool right away today and be the expert in the room," and I think that's a large part of leadership too, right? Is surrounding yourself with people that maybe are smarter than you, right? That know more than you, and ask the questions, and then by naturally, you start to evolve your own career and make those pivots and get excited about that change and not make it feel so as overwhelming.
Yeah, I think surrounding yourself by those other experts. Somebody said to me, it's also about who learns the fastest. And maybe this is where your curiosity comes into play.
That's right. I think you're right. I think in today's world, it's easy to now get up to speed on those skills. It's just how fast are you willing to do it, right? Are you willing to spend your 30, 40 minutes and just try something out? And if you're willing to do that, you'll move a lot faster because you can consume more information and you can, again, it's not about being perfect, but if you can get more than, 50, 60, 70% of the way there, you're chuckling because there's lots of other people that you can draw information from. So goes back to that curiosity and willingness to learn and just being uncomfortable, comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So, is there any other final career advice, either for somebody early in their career or somebody debating a shift right now?
Do your homework, make sure it's the right fit for you, right? You've also got to think about all the other factors that influence your career, your personal life, but don't be afraid. There's so many tools out there to help you learn if you do want to make a pivot. It's no longer like 10 years ago where you couldn't go do something if you didn't like go take 5 programming languages or something like that as an example. Today, with a handful of online classes or just getting your hands on a keyboard or probably finding a neighbor down the street that knows how to code something, you can get up to speed in no time. And don't be afraid from starting from scratch. I think that's the other thing that's really helped me is I've never been afraid to take a pivot that may not be in the direction that I wanted. My career has bounced me around more times than you can imagine. And every time you may be disappointed, but it's okay. Just think about what you get to learn, how you get to change that. And if you're good and love what you do and have passion for it, you will absolutely get to where you want to go.
Yeah, that's really what we had Malcolm Hawker on. I'm going to forget the title of his book, but it's really the growth mindset. So having a growth mindset, I think, is really what you're describing. Alpa, it's been a wonderful conversation on AI, product management, reinvention. Let's shift to a fun lightning round. What do you enjoy doing outside of work when you're not immersed in data and AI?
So we are massive golfers in my family. My husband and I love to golf. My son is a golfer competing competitively, aspirations to play collegiate golf. So we are through and through a golf family. We love to travel. And on that high of being golfers, I'm very proud to say that my husband and I are 2026 couples club championships this past weekend. So we are thrilled and floating above right now. So we do like to spend a lot of time with that. And then outside of that, it's, travel, spending time with our friends and family.
Oh, well, congratulations to you and your husband on winning that championship. I feel like I should ask, what's your favorite golf course?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd have to say Pebble Beach is one of the favorite ones that I've played at in my life so far. Yeah.
Okay. So I've biked to there and I've
Mhm.
watched the view from the beach below while some special tournament was going on. I'll have to share that picture with you.
Yes. Yeah.
As you are a former structural engineer, is there a favorite building anywhere in the world that you admire?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I think I'm more fascinated with if you look at the pyramids in Egypt as an example, right?
Mm.
It's fascinating on how they built that. Like the how is like probably what makes me so curious. And even now, as they build some of these massive, massive skyscrapers, amazing buildings, the how is just something that always has got me very curious. And it goes back to the pace of iteration is phenomenal, right? And even how you think about how they built back then and built now, I think it's what I admire probably the most. It's how do they get there?
Yeah, yeah. Like I think about Stonehenge too. How did they do that? These heavy concrete slabs. Yeah, the pyramids and Stonehenge. Um, if you picture going to a conference, what is something that another executive or attendee might be surprised to learn about your background besides being a structural engineer?
So I'm actually a Bharatanatyam classical Indian dancer. So I trained for a number of years when I was back up in Canada. I didn't keep it going when I moved to California about 20 years ago, but it's definitely something I would love to pick up again as, my family life slows down maybe down the road, kids go off to college, but definitely, yeah, I'm a classical Indian dancer.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I've had the honor of watching some Indian dancers and when we do a company kickoff in Bangalore, and it's just beautiful, beautiful. How about a book or a podcast that has significantly influenced your thinking?
So the book that's actually resonated with me again recently, and it's the second time that I'm actually reading it, is Tracy Newell's book called Hers for the Taking. And what I love about the idea is that in this book, it's like success isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about defining your own North Star and really aligning what your career ambitions are with your personal values, right? And I think this goes back to someone as myself who's reinvented their career, right? From structural engineering to fintech to now I'm like Grant Thornton, right? That message of charting your own deliberate path, it just speaks to me. And so it's something that I Have recently decided to reread, I like the book. I like the concepts in it, and it's a good refresher.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And we'll link to that in the show notes. The last question: how about an accomplishment that you are particularly proud of from recent weeks?
So, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, my son is a competitive golfer aspiring to play collegiate golf, and he had a pretty big, significant tournament last week. He did not place as he wanted to place. And it was tough, right? Tough as parents to watch him go through that journey when we know how incredible of a golfer he is, how well he had done, the week prior in the tournament and the weeks prior to that. But it was great to see him come off on day two. And he comes to me and he goes, Mom, I had to ask myself a question. And I said, What is that question? He goes, Do I really want it? And he goes, I really want it. And it just gave me such inspiration on his tenacity, his grit, his determination, his ability to come back after not feeling great after 2 days. And third day went fantastic. And as a parent, it's really hard to watch him go through that and want to coach him. And so I'm not only just proud of him for showing up, but he's got a whole set of coaches, right? And so our job, and I think you shared this with me, was to love and support him. And that's what we did. We provided love and support. And he's back out today playing another competitive round. He's back out there. So I'm just super proud of my son and his determination and tenacity that he brings to something he loves this much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. Well, also that you and your husband are good golfers. I can imagine it's easy to revert to coaching him rather than just supporting him. So we wish your son good luck in his golf dreams. I always say dream big and work it from every angle. So I look forward to tracking his journey there. Alpa, it's been so wonderful having you on the Data and AI Chief podcast. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you, Cindy. It was an absolute pleasure.
So let's go back to the beginning. Remember Alpa's message: reimagine, don't just automate a sub-process, stay curious. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please do rate or like it from your favorite podcast platform. And if you would like more inspiration and thought leadership, follow me on LinkedIn or visit the Data and AI Chief Hub.